Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the world's greatest melodies. Someone joked in the comments about how the topic, the title of this series of chats sounds a lot like, those old Columbia House, the world's most fabulous melodies, 50 greatest piano favorites, that kind of stuff, those budgie LP collections. I've done the commercial too, remember? It's only $12.99. 8-track tape, only $9.99. Here's how to order yours today. That kind of thing. Remember that stuff, the ad, and the guy with the mustache and the whole, he looked like Adrian Bolt. And you could get every great tune that had ever been written all on 4 discs. I bought that series, by the way. I was a kid and I got snookered into it. And this is a little bit different, I think. I happen to think that the taste of you, my viewers, is a little bit more sophisticated, at least in that you are more interested in hearing these melodies in their context within complete works. But I have some fascinating news to tell you. I mean, amazing. I'm stunned. This is a real sociological phenomenon that I'm going to report to you. And I'd be so interested to see what you think about it. I really am fascinated by this. The composer who has gotten the most suggestions is not Mozart or Rachmaninoff or Brahms or Tchaikovsky. None of those people. Or Schubert or Dvorak. You would think, right? No. It's Vaughan Williams, Ralph Vaughan Williams. I cannot believe how many votes Vaughan Williams is getting. And from people all over the world, not just from people in England or the US, It's really incredible. Absolutely incredible. And the range of works that have been nominated. Obviously the Tallis Fantasia, right? It had to be that. But the Pastoral Symphony, the Fifth Symphony, the London Symphony, Floss Campy, Epithalamion, and the Wasps overture. I could do an entire major, very long talk just on melodies written by Vaughan Williams. I think that's incredible. It really goes to show that the man's reputation is so much wider on disc, on recordings, than his performances, actual live performances would seem to suggest. Because you don't see this music played all that often live. Floss Campy? Really? But wow. And the piece that has gotten the most attention of any of the pieces by Vaughan Williams is the Romanza, the third movement of the Fifth Symphony. At least 5 people picked that, and I'm going to tell you what they said and then play you some samples. But instead of reading what they said first and then, playing some of it, I would like to play it first and then read what they said about it, the way that they described it. The first 4 minutes or so. This is the Naxos recording featuring Keys, Bockles, and the Bournemouth Symphony. And it is, of course, one of the most glorious pieces of music ever written in the spiritual, serene, beautiful, flowing, utter peace and chaste purity and incredible beauty department. It's a long department. But just listen to this. Now, if that isn't one of the most beautiful melodies in the world, one of the most beautiful pieces in the world, I don't know what is. I really, really don't. But let's see what some of you had to say about it. And then I want to talk about it just a little bit. So let's start at the beginning. Gabriel from Argentina writes, my pick for most beautiful melody in the world will go to the last section of the Romanza from RVW's, that's Ralph Vaughan Williams, Symphony No. 5. I was only 15 at the time and still a huge RVW fan after all these years. I couldn't believe music that beautiful existed. It's hard trying to explain it with words, but after this first musical experience, I just felt I wasn't the same person anymore. Well, thank you very much, Gabriel. And, you mentioned the end of the movement, which we're going to hear. So don't worry, I played you the beginning, but the end is sort of like the beginning, only it's quieter even and more serene, if that's possible. But this is my point. The British, I have always said, have been such miserable, horrible, awful custodians of their musical patrimony because they are they have been just so insular about and provincial about allowing the music to be played and savored and enjoyed outside of England by artists who aren't English, by orchestras that aren't English, generally by people that are not English. Every so often an American slips in there under the radar. I mean, if someone comes to England and pays homage with an English orchestra, well, okay, they can get away with it, as Slatkin and Haitink did, for example. But my God, if the music has the potential to become this popular, to have someone feel that way in Argentina, then it should be as popular as any music in the world, and it should be recognized as such. And performances outside of the UK should be promoted and encouraged and celebrated, because what a glorious gift to the rest of the world this music is. But the English musical establishment 9 times out of 10 behaves just the opposite. They're offended that anybody would touch their stuff, and they don't believe that anyone can do it as well as they do. It's very sick. Very, very sick. Anyway, let us continue. Steve Ambler writes, I'm going to pick what looks like the 4th melody by Vaughan Williams so far in these comments, the Romanza from the Fifth Symphony. I'm the second person to choose the Romanza. Every time I hear it, I think what a wonderful balm this must have been for the audience at the premiere in the Royal Albert Hall in 1943, in the middle of a horrible war and having lived through the Blitz. In the manuscript version, Vaughan Williams inscribed from the Pilgrim's Progress, quote, upon this place stood a cross and a little below a sepulchre. Then he said, he hath given me rest by his sorrow and life by his death. Unquote. Ooh, thanks for helping us all get through the pandemic in good spirits. Steve. Thank you, Steve. That's a beautiful description and introduction or postlude to having heard that music. Next, John. John says, for me, it will always be the 3rd movement of Vaughan Williams' Fifth Symphony. The sweetly melancholic gorgeousness of this piece of music is impossible for me to listen to without my eyes welling up, and I will never understand how something so breathtakingly sorrowful can at the same time be this exquisitely beautiful. After listening to it numerous times, it hit me that the English horn solo contributes so much to this feeling of beautiful melancholy, also to be found in some of my other favorite passages of music, the Largo of Dvorak's Ninth Symphony, for example. And finally, Richard Duffin wrote to me and to all of us. It's all there for you to see. The Romanza from Vaughan Williams' Fifth Symphony does it for me each and every time I hear it. Written during the early 1940s when Britain was on its knees from the Blitz, what it must have meant to those hearing it in those dark days can only be imagined. I first heard it when I was about 11 years old, after having been introduced to classical music and how to listen to it by my school music teacher. It struck home then and has never left me as being the most uplifting and beautiful piece I have ever heard. Thank you, Richard. And now, why don't we conclude this conversation of the Fifth Symphony? I have a little surprise for you afterwards by playing the ending of this movement as well. Here it is. It is exquisite. It truly is. There's nothing like it in all of music. It's amazing. It really is amazing. And when Vaughan Williams wrote the Fifth, everybody thought, well, he was an old man, recalling life in tranquility, because by then he was in his 60s or 70s or something. I know it's 70s. And the fact of the matter is, he had 4 more symphonies to come. Pretty cool, huh? But one of the other tunes that some of you mentioned was the big tune, the lyrical tune from the middle section of the overture to the Wasps of Aristophanes, a school play that was originally done in Oxford in Latin or something like that, or Cambridge, one of those places. And Vaughan Williams wrote the incidental music, including this delicious overture. And I thought, rather than ending on that note of sad and wistful melancholy, even though it's incredibly beautiful, we could be a little bit more up-tempo, and I could play you the big tune from the overture to the Wasps. Once again, this is the Naxos recording featuring Kees Bockles and the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, the big tune from the Wasps. I think after hearing that, it's understandable just how Vaughan Williams got into this list so many times. I mean, I would have put in personally the Saraband of the Sons of Morning, or whatever that thing is called, from Job, which I also think is one of the greatest tunes in the history of mankind. The man could write tunes. And they all have in common, because they're modal melodies, that sort of timelessness, that aching timelessness and purity of beauty that's really exceptional, really exceptional. And Vaughan Williams ought to be a heck of a lot more popular in concert than he is. But the biggest impediment to that happening, I believe, has been the English musical establishment. And that's also something we can talk about, if you wish, in the comments. That's my theory. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Keep on listening, folks. Wasn't this a remarkable result from this exercise? I'm thrilled by it, and I hope it gives you some food for thought, too. Take care. Bye-bye.